Right, this is the Pulse here on Join. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Wherever you're watching us, where you can join us. If you have comments, if you have questions, whatever it is you want to talk about on the issues that we have on the table this afternoon, you can join us via our social media handles on Facebook, on YouTube, and of course on myjoyonline.com. Now, the power crisis is still a major issue here in the country. This weekend, I'm sure that if you are expecting to have a very exciting weekend, you expect that your electricity will stay on. Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Prempe is doubling down on government claim that there is currently no dumsor. The country has been battling intense power crisis that has resulted in severe outages for weeks. This week, President Akufo-Addo announced that the crisis had been fixed, although analysts insist there's still some load shedding being carried out by the power producers. Now, answering questions before Parliament's Government Assurances Committee, Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Prempe claimed the outages is rather dumsor and not dumsor. Here are excerpts of his engagement in Parliament today.
To talk about dumsor as you want to drag me into it. But I told you that when I got to the ministry, we've gone past the era where we had 72 to 96 days of lights out and 6 hours of light on. We are in the era of dumsor, which is profoundly different from dumsor. Dumsor, as inflicted on Ghanaians, has only happened as characterized His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's governance. He is the only president on record that for 4 years that he reigned, for 4 years that he ruled, for 4 years that he governed, doom. If the non-partisan colleague says that now it's worse, then I don't know where his relatives lie. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Minister, I'll let you come. Colleague members, we want to plead with you, please. Let us stick to questions that have been captured in the document so that we would be able to make headway. So please let us stick to the questions.
Honorable Minister, I want to place something on record. President Mahama is the only president who has taken responsibility for dumsor. It has happened since time immemorial. All the heads of state or presidents in the history of this country have suffered dumsor. Even President Kufuor's era, they had to import toy generators from outside room under Honorable Kofi Addo. But President John Mahama was bold enough, humble enough, and took responsibility and said he was going to solve it. And he did solve it.
Thank you very much,
President Mahama left office, we had excess capacity.
Thank you, Rankin.
We had excess capacity.
Thank you, Mr. Rankin.
And our generation was about 83%.
Thank you, Mr.
You only came to add about less than even 4 or 5%.
Mr. Rankin,
so
thank
please,
you. Let's
get that on record. That President Mahama is the only president in the history of this country
let's
who has solved
let's make a headway.
Thank you.
Akimoda MP, please.
Chairman, thank you so much. Let me take this opportunity to commend the minister with the way he has handled the questions so far. I think that in the midst of all the issues that he's raised, if the figure of coverage of 88.7 is anything to go by, then the minister and his team need this commendation. I want to bring the minister to page 9. A question asked by Honorable Kwabena Mensah Woyomi. On the 21st July 2021, he asked the minister steps the ministry is taking to get aquatic waste removed from the lower Volta Basin, including all the tributaries of the river within the South Tong and Dangbe East districts. Want to ask the minister the assurances that were given. It seems not to have been done. So, Mr. Minister, what is the current status of Mr. Kwabena Mensah Woyomi's question?
Thank you. The Volta River Authority commenced the Lower Volta dredging project to address weed proliferation by altering river conditions to inhibit weed growth. The project involves deepening the river channel, enhancing navigation, minimizing flood risks, and reducing sunlight reaching the riverbed to impede aquatic weed growth. It also includes removing nutrient-rich substrate from the riverbed to deprive the weeds of essential nutrients. If you do recall, these weeds were not particularly of a local nature. They were introduced probably inadvertently. And so we need to alter the characteristics of the ecosystem for which the weed proliferates. And that's what the VRA is doing. There's no start date and end date, because once you are altering somewhere, you create the conditions for the weeds to go somewhere. So it's eternal vigilance and continually monitoring the situation so that you can keep the weeds growth to the barest minimum and prevent them from causing accidents and things on the river. Thank you.
Thank you. Any follow-up question? Okay, so we'll go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is question 586 from the Hansard. 586 from the Hansard. That's page 20 of the handouts. 20. But from the Hansard is 586. So the question goes to the Minister. On the 29th of June, Mr. Minister, the Honorable Daniel Nsala Wakpal, MP for Pandai, asked the Minister for Energy when the following communities in his constituency were going to be connected to the national grid. And he mentioned communities like Yadimakura, Atefufu, Kachepe, Adakpa, Che, Dubong, Ugando, Banajado,
Right, so welcome back. This is the pulse here on Joy News, and Kwaku Asante was in Parliament during this hearing by the Government Assurances Committee. So Kwaku, the Energy Minister, I mean, everybody was looking forward to his comments on the energy crisis, and he says what?
The Energy Minister says what we are currently witnessing is not dumsor, as in the technical definition for dumsor, which is a lack of power generation. He says they are only trying to fix something. But of course, we know that from the record, that is not accurate, because when the Mines and Energy Committee met all the stakeholders in the energy sector, the conclusion they came was that there was a challenge with fuel, the fuel to power the thermal plants that would generate electricity. And that is a classical case of what dumsor situation is. The president also spoke this week and pledged that his government had fixed the situation. In fact, we understand now that there's a lot of fuel. John Jinapo actually talks to Joy FM and says that, well, at least the kind of respite we've seen now could last for a month. That is if it'll take off again. And so, but Energy Minister Matthew Poku Prempeh does not accept any explanation or any understanding that the current energy crisis that we've had is dumsor. He says, again, it is dumsor, and the government is on top of the issue. They are trying to fix it. But of course, as you heard the ranking member for the committee and MP from Nkwanta, John Otibles, pushing back, saying that the situation is not, and also pushing back to the claim that the energy minister makes that it's only John Dramani Mahama that witnessed dumsor. So the bottom line for the energy minister, the man in charge of running the entire energy sector in the country, is that what we are currently witnessing is dumsor. This is not the first time he said that.
Absolutely.
Recall the last time there was a similar energy crisis of a similar magnitude but shorter in nature. He again was on record saying that it was dumsor and not dumsor that we are currently witnessing, and the government.
So this was a public interest question. The minister was there on a different business.
Yes, he was there to answer questions on assurances that he had made on the floor. In fact, they catalogued about 100 of promises and assurances that the energy minister or his assigns had made on the floor regarding the energy sector. So the MPs took them through. And in fact, the committee did not want to allow any of that. Some MP had to just smuggle through the question and ask the energy minister to do that. The energy minister took the bait, responded to that and said, they've been trying to drag him in all along, but he is going to answer to that, and that this is dumsor. So he was there to answer questions about the assurances he has made on the floor, how they are meeting those assurances and exactly how government is trying to get people around the table to fix some of those gaping challenges with the entire energy sector, and this question was thrown in.
So, and then one matter that stood out for me and was challenged by some members on the minority side on this committee was government's position that they have extended electricity to 88% of the populace.
Yes.
Leaving just 12%.
Yes.
President Akufo-Addo, during the inauguration of the solar panel in the Upper West region, said that government is hoping to do 100% coverage by the end of the year. Yeah. And some MPs had reservation about this figure, 88% electricity coverage across the country.
In fact, definitely one MP that took quite a concern about this NDC MP for Solar Tuna Kalba, Andrew Dare Chiwete, who challenged the kind of statistics that the minister had put through. Because for some of them, then there was the MP for a place, Kwame Danso.
Kwame Danso, that's the Pru West.
Exactly, Pru West. And he talks about what he thinks he's seen in his constituency, the idea that electricity generation has not really gone down to the place. But the minister said the figures are there to show that the penetration in terms of electricity across the country is now way above 88%. And just like the president had said in Kalio, in the upper West region or upper East region just a week ago, that government is trying to show up and ensure that by the time President Akufo-Addo is leaving office at the end of 2024 and in early, that is January 7, 2025, the electricity coverage across the country would have been 100%, and that is something that the government is committed. But as usual, of course, there were some NDC MPs on that committee who challenged that. But of course, they were not able to provide any contrary figures to what the minister had provided. This is the man who supervises the energy sector. He says, this is what we have done, and that is the record he's presented to the committee.
All right, away from the Government Assurances Committee,